looking through the market, and there is no way to buy this. You can buy the single one, there, but you cannot buy the dual one. So this is a item you have to build, unless it requires two, in which case you've got to buy two, and that's 300 platinum. That's the only platinum cost, apart from rushing it, that I can really think of, because it's in here, in the Grenier lab, which got a bit laggy, where you find the research for it. The build cost, of course, is two of the single-handed weapons. So, yeah, if you want to go the route of buying them, but building them just seems better for these. You will, of course, need a 4-5 detonate injectors on top of this. As somebody who loves their dual-wielding weapons, these things look better in pretty much every way to every dual-wielding weapon I can come across. Bar one. I mean, even the Dex Dakra, which is an anniversary weapon for the game coming out of its beta. The only one I've come across that looks better, well, performs better, is the dual Kamas. Much quicker attack speed, and does look like it does more damage, but it's too close. These, however, having 19% crit chance and 33% status chance, these things could be the go-to dual-wielding weapon. They, of course, like the single one, come with no polarities, but do use the new stance. The stance, for those looking for it, is available from Konzu here through his bounty system on the planes, and usually, actually there it was, it's on some of the harder ones because it is rare. As I said yesterday though, this thing, the single-handed Krohkur, whatever this thing is actually called, is a decent weapon, right up until you do the second dream. Then the Broken War is better. This is a vast improvement. This should have came as its own, the twin Krohkur, rather than the single-handed one, simply because its stance is really well done. The animations are quite amazing, and its dual-wielding melee weapons I've enjoyed a lot more over the years than the single-handed ones anyway. So the only downside to this, because what is it that's carved in it in Grenier, the writing, head carver or head splitter or whatever it is, I really hope that would be a special aspect to it where it's almost guaranteed to cut enemies in half for the killing animation. But no, that's not a downside either. The biggest downside to this is the fact that and I'm trying to remember the name of it, the Sigma and, is it Octantis? The 700-day login reward weapon I got my hands on not really shortly after the update, but since the update came out, I think it has been 2 or 3 weeks, then I got my hands on that, which sadly retired my twin Krohkur, simply because it was a better weapon with, well, sadly, less damage, a little bit more impact, better fire rate, better crit, worse status than these. Choosing between that and this is kind of a silly point. The Sigma and Octantis is a little bit better, but because I was able to get my hands on this, I retired these. I had been using them since the update itself. They were quite an amazing weapon, and they were insanely good at what they did, which is deal a lot of damage quickly. The main reason it can deal damage quickly is because I have Prime Pressure Point, Prime Fury and Prime Reach on this, which increased its base damage, its attack speed, and of course its distance, which is where it became a heck of a lot more useful. After that, it's probably a 3v format. Even if you don't use Prime Fury on this, you still want to throw Condition Overload on, and any elemental combo you decide to throw on this works really well. Its starting status of 33%, sadly with 19% crit, meant building it for status was definitely better, and of course throwing drift and contact, body count, and of course condition overload, as well as any elemental stuff from the dual stat mods which increases status chance and an element, worked ridiculously well. I really am trying to find a downside to this that really counts, but it does a nice amount of damage even with a normal Fury in here. Its attack speed is actually pretty nice over the single-handed one, and as long as you always remember, level up that single-handed one before building the twin one or on the way to building the twin one, and it's basically a double mastery style weapon, which is also really useful. Like the twin Vipers was the same. Build the Viper, then build the twin Viper, ta-da, double mastery points. It's a great little trick. This was exactly the same and was really useful. It's just the only downside I can come across is, sadly for me, it had a very short lifespan. I actually had put my Helio Core away after the planes came out and I was scanning enemies with that. I put it away in favour of this because I like dual wielding weapons. This does just enough damage to make it kind of usable with prime pressure point in there. The slash went up to 178, the puncture went up to 45, and the impact went up to 30. It deals a nice amount of damage, has a nice attack speed. You level up the single-handed one beforehand, it has double mastery points available on it, because obviously you're leveling up 2 weapons instead of just the one. Of course, if you do forget to level up the single-handed one before building the dual one, you will still only get the mastery points from the twin Krohkur rather than the normal one. Then the twin one, that's what I mean by double points. But it's just, I kind of wish it had a longer lifespan. I may come back to using this in the future, but it was just, it looks good, it does a really nice amount of damage, and unless they do in the future at some point, which is really doubtful because it's been retired, it's in the Prime Vault now, make a dual wielding Dakra Prime, I think this will basically sit as one of my favourite dual wielding melees. Not the most damaging or the quickest, but definitely one of my favourite ones in the game, which was surprising considering I didn't even know this was coming with the update. It was the surprise weapon of the update, the glass hammer axe, or yeah, that thing is good. This was just better. So we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.